going on, boys?
How's it going?
Reppin' Dallas Stars, back at the Hideaway today. No Rosie, unfortunately. After a couple bad videos in a row, trying to get back in the green, black.
Shout out to our boy Chris at All Up Here Hand Sanitizer. He sent us out a little bit of merch to be repping today, so we're repping that for the first time here. Hopefully that'll bring us some run good.
Yeah, we love their hand sanitizer. Very clean, very pure. Go check their stuff out. Another 1-2 session, $300 buy-in. We brought two of our boys today, actually.
Let's go, Monty.
What up?
Sola, Monty, let's go, boys.
They'll be running
hoping
with
for
us.
A big dub today. Let's go.
All four in the black.
I have to preface something before I start this hand. There are two players at the table who do not know the complete rules of poker. They are asking our dealer questions that they really should know, sitting down with $300 in front of them, but they do not. They are very new players, and this is just the perfect table to be at. Okay. Our hand is King-Queen suited. Under the gun, limps. Under the gun +1, who is a competent player, makes it 20. I just make the call here in position. The small blind and the big blind now call. Those are our two weaker players. Under the gun comes long as well. We're going 5 ways to a flop, which comes, we need a good flop here, guys. 9-2-6. Okay, that's not great. However, the small blind now donks for $15. A donk bet means you are betting into the pre-flop aggressor. That was very normal of this player. He makes it $15, and he did this a lot of the time with nothing, no pair in his hand. So after Under the Gun makes the call, I call as well with 2 overs. Thinking that my king and queen will be good if they come, we're off to a turn card, which is the 7 of spades. All right, I pick up a flush draw. Now, small blind leads for $25. Under the gun calls. I'm just gonna call here, try to hit my flush. Big city, jack of spades comes on the river. It checks to me. I go for some value here because we have weaker players. I don't wanna bet too big and scare them off. So I make it $65. Unfortunately, he folds here. However, we take home another big pot, and this pot's important because I picked up so many of pots like this where I would end up just hitting my king or queen and just making loads of money because they were giving me plenty of odds to call with tiny bets on flops and turns. Very strong session so far.
To start off the session, we look down at ace deuce of spades under the gun. Looking back, I'm not exactly sure why I did this, but I go for a lovely limp. I know I'm a fish. Middle position, bets $15, the big blind calls, and I'm certainly going to be calling as well if I'm willing to limp this hand. So I call, and the flop comes 3 of clubs, deuce of hearts, 8 of spades. So we have bottom pair along with the backdoor flush draw. It checks twice, and the middle position bets $25. The big blind snap folds, and I think this is a scenario where the middle position player is just going to be taking a stab a lot of times with something like ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, something along those lines that just wants to take a pot down quickly and face no aggression, hopefully. So for those reasons, I decide to raise here. However, I don't really think I need to go too big. I think a lot of his holdings are just going to be folding if they face any sort of aggression. And so for that reason, I raise to $50, hoping to take this pot down fairly quickly or see a good turn card as well, as we have some cards that will improve our hand. Unfortunately, the middle position player makes a call. So we're off to a turn, heads up, which is the 7 of clubs. I decide to continue this story, hoping to get maybe an 8 to fold or potentially an overpair, as they know I'm a pretty tight player and I'm not going to be making this play all too often. So I bet $80, a little bit less than half pot, and the middle position player calls as well. So at this point, I'm assuming we're going to need some help on the river, and it comes in the form of another deuce, the deuce of hearts, giving us trips here. Perfect card for a jam. I have about $118 left behind, so I jam, and the middle position player goes into the tank. He thinks about it for a while and eventually makes the fold. So unfortunately, we missed out on some value on the river, but an overall great river, and I think that it's always good to mix in some bluffs here. I know I said I'm done with the dealer's choice games, but this vlog was filmed before then, so you already know that we're looking down at some Congress. We looked down at ace, king, 4-2, great Congress hand with a lot of nut low draws, suited ace as well as pocket kings. Under the gun limps, middle position limps, and in the hijack, I'm definitely going to be betting here. I bet $25. The small blind, big blind, under the gun, and middle position, I'll call. It's Texas poker, folks. People like to gamble. The flop comes 4, king, 6, so we drill the nuts as well as have great nut low draws. Any card below an 8 that's not an ace or deuce will give us a nut low, and we currently are holding the nut high. So when it checks to me, I bet $100. Small blind thinks about it for a minute and then jams for $400 total. Folds back around to me. I've got nothing to do here but make the call. I make the call and we're off to a run out. The turn is about the grossest card I could imagine. The ace of clubs, counterfeiting our low, so now we're stuck just riding the high. Let's hope he doesn't have pocket aces. And the river is the 10 of spades, so not a great card. Any flush beats us now as well, and the small blind flips over ace queen of spades for the river nut flush, as well as 2-7 for the low. So we got screwed here and lost a big pot. We are definitely going to have to rebuy after this tough hand. If you look here at this screenshot, we're actually about a 63% favorite to scoop both the low and the high here, so I'm happy to get my money in as a favorite. Unfortunate run out, and hopefully I'll be winning these in the future. I've been kind of on a downswing with these DC games, and that's the main reason why I've stopped playing.
This session is from February 27th. I had not renounced Congress just yet. That is why you guys see us in a pot. I was in the big blind. I called a $20 raise pre-flop. Board came Jack, Queen, 3. I flopped 2 pair. My hand is Ace, Jack, 10, 8, 3. I make another pot size call going to a turn. Actually checks through, and the river leaves me against a weaker opponent. I have 2 pair. I've got a low. I bet $100, and they make the call here with pocket kings. We scoop home a Congress pot. Nice to start the session off strong, albeit pretty lucky to hold with just 2 pair and a mediocre low. But that is the case, going off to the session with a $250 profit already wrapped up in the bag.
We're back playing the best game of the century, Congress. 5-card, Omaha, high-low, button straddle of $10. And in the big blind, there are 5 calls of that $10 when it's on me. I typically try to avoid playing Congress hands in early position like small blind, big blind, under the gun. However, for $8 more into an already $70 pot, I'm for sure going to be making this call. I call and the button checks, so we're off to a flop 7 ways. Flop comes 4, Jack, 9, 2 spades. We've got a second nut low draw, the nut flush draw, as well as an overpair. Pretty solid flop for us. I check, and middle position decides to pot it here for $70. After he pots it, the cutoff does not hesitate to repot it here for $280. Folds back around to me. I've got $230 in my stack. I want to gamble here. I've got a great drawing hand, and so I rip it in for $230. The middle position player seems very confused here. He hesitates for a while and eventually makes the fold, so we're off to a turn and river heads up, all in, when it comes 5 of diamonds and ace of hearts. We completely brick our flush draw. Now all we're sitting on is a 3-7 low. He flips over pocket jacks with no playable low, so our 3-7 plays and we scoop half the pot and actually rake in a little bit of a profit here. Who would have thought? Not necessary in my poker play, definitely not bankrolled for this as well. And so from now on, I'll definitely be studying this game more, making tighter folds on flops like these. After getting beat to shreds on those Congress hands, we look down at ace-king offsuit for our last hand of the night on the button. We're playing 6-handed right now, and there are 2 limps to me. I bet $20. It folds around to the original limper under the gun, who goes for the beautiful limp raise to $55. Folds back around to me, and now I have a decision to make between just calling or 4-betting. I think calling's fine a lot of times against a limp raise because those often symbolize so much strength. However, often players I've noticed try to push us out of pots, knowing that we are young college poker players who are afraid of getting some big pots sometimes. So people try to bully us. For those reasons, I don't want him to be doing this with weak holdings. So I 4-bet here to put some real pressure on him to $150. I've got about 150 to 200 left in my stack. And Under the Gun thinks about it for a while before insisting on going all in for $400 total. He's got me covered, and now I've got a decision to make whether I want to risk my whole stack with ace-king. I don't know if I can necessarily get away from this. If he's got queens, we're pretty much flipping. If he has kings, we still have some outs, and if he has aces, we're totally screwed. I'm hoping he might have ace king or ace queen and will either chop or win it. And so for those reasons, because there are combos of hands that I can still beat here, I make the call and he flips over pocket aces right away. After he flips over his aces, we're off to a run out and we completely brick out. We get stacked once again to end the night. What a brutal session. And I definitely think that this is another flaw in my game, giving more respect to limp raises. People don't do that too often, and when they do, at least from my perspective, they've had pocket aces. I ran into aces versus ace king a lot of times, so maybe from now on I don't want to be getting it in with ace king as often. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments, whether it's just a cooler or whether it's something that I can actually change in the future.
Not even gonna lie, everything you've seen up to now has hailed in comparison to what this hand will be. I have chipped up from $300 all the way up to $1,025. The two weaker players have lost all of their money. I am about to wrap it up in the very last rotation that I'm going to play. The person to my right is drunk. He sat down about 45 minutes ago, doubled up with aces, albeit against queens, and then he doubled up again in a big Congress hand where he ended up hitting the nuts on the river. He was playing very wide pre-flop, post-flop, all the way around. He was playing loose. On my last rotation, he opens it up to $22. And I look down at pocket kings, the second best hand in poker. I want to make a 3-bet here as I want to get in isolation with this player. I make it $65 to go. He takes some time and he actually goes over the top with a 3-bet to $175. I am just so content with my profit, but now I have another battle. How should I navigate this pot? I am in position of this player. I don't exactly know his 4-bet raising tendencies, but I decide to go over the top. I don't want him to give him a chance to hit a set with some crappy pocket pair. I go over the top again and raise it to $345 and watch what happens.
Yep. He's got a 345 all in off over at 345.
Alright, how chill are you with running it multiple times?
Nothing.
Nothing, one or nothing?
Nothing.
Alright!
I'm all in over the 375.
I've never folded this hand in my life.
Yeah.
I don't think I can start.
Fold ace king right now? You know you're folding ace king right now.
No, the place called. I called.
Well, boys, long story short, you guys saw the title. I make the call here against the drunk opponent, and he flips over pocket aces to completely kill my heart and soul. Oh my gosh. I don't even see what the run out is. He hits a set. I don't care. I am very, very upset. I lose $1,000 in this one hand after chipping up all night. Wow. He forces me to shake his hand. He grabs my hand and forces me to shake it. And he's talking to me. How do you not know I was raising? The guy was not a very friendly gentleman. So yeah, this one hurt a lot. Did not want to lose to this specific player. Didn't want to lose to anyone this amount, obviously. Probably the biggest nightmare any poker player could have is to lose kings versus aces on the very last rotation. The very last hand, it was on the button. I should have folded. My last hand, I should have folded. I go through a pretty big tilt after this that I'm going to save for another day. I was obviously very upset. Really am not going to be folding kings there very often, especially against a drunk player. Obviously, in hindsight, I wish I folded. No regrets though. In for $300, cash for $25. He let me keep the $25 I had on the side for my Uber home. Great.
Now, editing and looking back at your poker losses can be pretty rough, but filming an outro at the time being is even more rough, not gonna lie. Frank and I didn't get to an outro for this video, but he was in the game for 300, out for 25, so minus 275 on the day. Not as bad when you look at my night. I was in the game for 600, out for a whopping goose egg. $600 down the drain. Unfortunate session. Let me know what you guys think about that ace-king hand. Maybe I can make that fold on the pre-flop aggression. I'm not really sure, and definitely gotta stop playing those Congress hands. Pretty dumb. Keep liking and subscribing. It helps out the channel a ton, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!